an interesting session. We had the last session on Wednesday, where career experts were telling like how has to one look forward to choose a career in future. You know? It has to be based on interest, passion, and the skill set that you have. That needs to be matched. So I'm confident that you all did a small activity on that was given to you, and you now know what are your interests, what you're good at, and what you want to learn. And I would have identified certain areas. To highlight more on that, today we have three eminent speakers, Professor Manda Venkatramana, Dr. Ganesh Ramachandran, and Dr. Parameshwaran. I welcome all the speakers for today's session. Now, let us go directly to the first speaker of today. The first speaker of today is from Gulf Medical University, Professor Manda Venkatramana. Professor Manda Venkatramana is currently the Vice Chancellor Academics and Dean, College of Medicine at Gulf Medical University. He has been associated with the Tumbai Group for more than 18 years. He is a clinical professor of surgery and consultant neurosurgeon at Tumbai Hospital, Ajman. He graduated from Saurashtra University, India, and is a fellow of Royal College of Surgeons from Edinburgh and Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Glasgow, UK. Professor Manda has more than 30 years of teaching and clinical experience as a general surgeon and more than a decade of administrative experience in a medical university. He is a recipient of the Best Teacher Awards conferred on the basis of popular choice by students. He introduced new student-centered pedagogy and assessment strategies, considered international best practices, and innovative new programs like Bachelor of Biomedical Sciences and Associate Degree in Preclinical Sciences, which are the first of its kind in the country. Professor Manda was instrumental not only in the accreditation of the Mbbs program by the Commission of Academic Accreditation of UAE, but also alignment of the program with the World Federation of Medical Education Standards, a first in the country and Middle East. He is credited for the establishing the American Heart Association accredited Life Support Training Center, offering basic and advanced life support training courses at GMU in his capacity as the director of the state-of-art Center for Advanced Simulation in Healthcare. Professor Manda's area of clinical research include diabetic foot and urolithiasis, which resulted in publications in peer-reviewed national and international journals. He has also contributed to chapters in books. His special interest in the educational research is in the area of early patient contact and its impact on the communication skills of medical students. This action research resulted in the implementation of EPC as a regular part of the medical curriculum, which was much appreciated by the students and was also presented in many international medical education conferences. Under his leadership, the college has grown manifold and is on its way to become a leading medical college in the country and region. With all this brief introduction, I welcome Professor Manda. Stage is all yours, sir, and please guide our children.
So you're muted.
Yeah.
Sir, can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, okay, fine. Thank you. Thanks, Mr. Sudha and Science India Forum for this great opportunity. And as always, this is not the first time I'm on this forum. It's always a pleasure and privilege to be here. Crafting a sustainable career, right? So that is the theme which is there, you know, for the Science India Forum. Dear students, parents, I think you are with the right person here, and I am from the medical background. And during the pandemic, now we are in the midst of a pandemic, almost midst, or I don't know, end, and I don't know when the end is. So basically, during the pandemic, when you have seen, so many jobs have been lost, so many sort of businesses have been shut down. But the one thing which was sustainable all throughout was the health profession. And they were in the front line and they were leading the fight against this pandemic. So basically, myself, as Ms. Sudha has already told me, I'm a general surgeon and then the Vice Chancellor and the Dean of the College of Medicine. But I'm going to give you an overview of my university and some of the programs which are offered at our university and what we could do for best for you. So if you don't mind, Ms. Sudha, can I just have a presentation?
Please, sir.
Okay. I will. How do I share my screen?
If you just look below on the bottom of the Zoom window, you see there is a green highlighted one, share screen.
Yeah, okay.
Just click that and share your desktop if you have got any audio or something to avoid any problem. Yeah.
Now can you see?
Yes.
Okay. So to save time, I'm just going ahead with my small presentation. It's not very exhaustive. We can always, tackle our questions in a question and answer sessions. So we, Gulf Medical University, we started off just in 1998. We are about 23 years young, with just one college and two programs. And we had the privilege of dedicating our college to the nation by His Highness Sheikh Hamad bin Rashid Al Nuaimi, who is the ruler of Ajman. From just 1998 to 21, we have two campuses, one in Dubai, which is yet to get operational, 6 colleges and 22 accredited programs. So if you look at these colleges, you'll find we are in the niche of health and medicine, right? We are in the healthcare sector. We haven't deviated from the healthcare sector. We have 3 institutes of research, of community health, and of health workforce development, and we have 5 centers of excellence. If you see the undergraduate programs we offer, we have the Mbbs program, which is our signature program and the most sought after popular program. The biomedical sciences, the associate degree in preclinical sciences, the dental, PDS, the pharmacy, and the physiotherapy, anesthesia technology, the medical imaging sciences, medical laboratory sciences, sciences in nursing, Bachelor of Science in Nursing, and healthcare management and economics. So this College of Healthcare Management and Economics is a new concept, although it is a business and economic subject, but still within the niche of healthcare. We have few graduate programs. So after you do your undergraduate, you can go into a joint master's in health profession education or a public health in collaboration with University of Arizona. And we have dental master programs like periodontics and endodontics. We have clinical pharmacy, we have drug development and discovery, we have physical therapy, we have laboratory science, and executive masters in healthcare management and economics. The newest addition is a PhD program, doctoral program, for those who are interested in research. It's PhD in precision medicine in collaboration with one of the top universities in France, and that is University Paris-Saclay. Gulf Medical University, I'm proud to inform you that we are ranked 2nd in UAE in the Times Higher Education Worldwide Impact Ranking, and we are about 401 to 600 ranks in the world. And we are also accredited by the Quality Assurance Agency of UK. The university is accredited by this agency from UK. So as I keep telling, quality is most important for us, quality of the programs, quality of the university, and international accreditations. If you see, 3 of our programs are internationally accredited. Our pharmacy program is accredited by the Accreditation Council for Pharmacy Education. The Biomedical Sciences program is accredited by Institute of Biomedical Sciences, UK. And as already told, and our medical program is already aligned to the World Federation of Medical Education Outcomes. I want to tell you that we use very, very innovative methods of teaching learning. And one of the innovative methods which was developed by Gulf Medical University is the virtual patient learning. I'm just going to give you a half a minute clipping of how this works. There's a patient, students, before they go to the clinical posting, also within the classrooms, they interact with virtual patients. And we use artificial intelligence. This is developed using artificial intelligence. And this has won several awards for us for innovative teaching, for introducing innovative teaching learning. So I'm just going to play this small clipping. I'm not sure whether you can hear the audio.
Good morning, doctor. so sure. I bet this test is wrong. I want to take another one.
So this is the virtual patient learning. I'm not sure whether you could hear it, but we had won several awards, international awards, for this introduction of the innovative teaching learning pedagogy. We have, as I told you, introduced to you, we have multiple programs, dental, pharmacy, nursing, health sciences, and all that. All of them learn together to work together. It's because at the end of the day, we are treating patients. And for patients, it's just not the physician alone who is responsible. So all of them put together so that the patient's outcome is good. And that's why we teach the students right when they are in the college how to learn together, to respect each other and work together. So what distinguishes Gulf Medical University from all other universities in United Arab Emirates is our own clinical training sites. We own our own clinical training sites. No other university in the country has their own clinical training sites. So we have roughly, we are located in Ajman and in roughly a total area of 1 million square feet of, or 25 acres of land at Tumbe Medicity, which contains the university, the 3 state-of-the-art hospitals, and we have a research center, we have CAP accredited laboratories, pharmacies, a food court, and sports complex. So apart from this 3 hospitals within the campus, we have totally 7 hospitals in the country, 2 daycare centers, 10 clinics, the primary healthcare clinics or ambulatory clinics, 48 pharmacies, 700 beds, 60 dental chairs, footfall of about 1,200 patients, and 4 CAP accredited laboratories, which are also approved by the Ministry of Health for internship training. So after you finish your primary degree, you're posted in these sites for clinical training. And during your studies, you're posted here for clinical training. As I told you, we have the Tumbe Institute for Health Workforce Development. It is all about, the tagline is about the sustainable career. So it's actually, if you all the doctors and students, they come here for these workshops to continuously upgrade their skills. So the Center for Advanced Simulation in Healthcare is one thing which I had established in Gulf Medical University. It is basically, we have simulations, high fidelity simulations, where all the students undergo training before they actually come in contact with real patients, so that they get trained and they're used to patients so that they don't make any mistakes on the patients. So we have this state-of-the-art library, very in keeping in times. We call it the live and learn area. And we have all the entire campus is Wi-Fi enabled. To keep our students happy, we have this happiness center, and students are part of this happiness center, an extension of the student affairs. We have the state-of-the-art Research Institute for Precision Medicine, where we do high-end research on cancer, and especially the cancer microenvironment and effect of hypoxia on cancer microenvironment. And then we have also our strategic global partnerships. So we have partnerships with more than 80 international reputed universities, wherein we offer joint degree programs. We send our students for elective placements to get a perspective of a new health system. And then we also have internships at these various sites. And we have faculty and student exchange. We have roughly about 2,000 and odd graduates who graduated from Gulf Medical University over the period of time. And then, of course, maximum is the Mbbs program, because it's been present right from 1998, and 1,114 graduates. All of them are well placed across the globe. All continents are represented by our graduates. If you look at various hospitals in UAE, you'll find a director or one of the leading practitioners to be a graduate of Gulf Medical University. So during the COVID times, our students volunteered at Tumbe University Hospital. They helped out the specialists and consultants in providing patient care. So it's just not very academics and very serious reading, but we have a lot of fun in the campus. a lot of sports clubs and global days, and it's been slightly subdued because of the pandemic, but nevertheless, the spirit is still there. So I don't want to proceed, take too much of my time. As promised to Ms. Sudha, I've just kept my time here to just about less than 10 minutes, but I'm more happy to take questions from you all. So with this, kindly follow us on all the social media platforms which we have. And thank you. I'm going to stop sharing and I'm ready to take up the questions.
Thank you, sir. It was very crisp, but no, we could see an array of programs, especially something on healthcare and economics, which is totally new, and the virtual patient learning that looks interesting.
Yes.
And even last year, you were speaking about the simulations that have been developed.
Yes.
The state-of-the-art simulations. So I think these are all something very interesting to children also. And that is a related question, but however, I felt like it is better that you answer that. What is the scope of robotics and AI, artificial intelligence in the medical field? Is there any particular course that combines this?
Well, we have robotics is now used as robotic surgery is coming up as a subspecialty in surgery, where they do high-end surgeries. Pelvic surgeries and things like that. So it is a specialty by itself. Artificial intelligence, very, very important for us. As I told you, in a small way, we are using it in this virtual patient learning tool. But then artificial intelligence is very important in radiology. So actually, it is helping us out in diagnosing conditions. So from imaging. So it's got a huge potential. Because now technology enabled, because now we are trying to put a lot of technology into our medical teaching itself, right? Apart from teaching and learning, in the healthcare sector, technology is being used in a big way. So we have all electronic medical records. We have now one of my colleagues, Dr. Ramachandran, is going to talk on bioinformatics, big data and things like that. So I'm sure he'll appreciate. It's very important, actually, all this big data and things like that in medical practice as well. So as I told you, these are all the evolving specialities which have got a very big say in the medical practice as well. Yeah, and medical education at the end of the day. Yes.
Thank you, sir. That's definitely insightful. I know many of the people are now associated with technology, the young children of this generation.
Yes.
Hope you all listen to that. There is, good chance you can combine medicine with technology. Professor has already explained. And then there is one more question. I want to take up a career in the field of psychology. Which is better? Is it better to take psychiatry as a specialization after MBBS or directly doing BSc in psychology?
If you want to do psychology, yes, BSc, MSc, PhD psychology. But if you want to become a psychiatrist, you do MBBS, MD, and then MD psychiatry, right? So they are all different aspects. Psychiatry is actually treating patients. Psychology is more counseling and things like that. So here you'll have to become a doctor in order to treat and prescribe an intervention and things like that. So it's up to you, basically, what exactly you want to do. Whether you want to do psychology, it's more of counseling and things like that, whereas psychiatry is actually treating patients with different conditions, medical conditions. Yes.
Yes, thank you. I think that helps the child. Please understand, sir, explain that both the terminologies are different. So try to know more about it and try to find what your interest is. So there is one more question. Is there any medical course for forensic sciences?
Yes, very much. You have to do, if you want, you can do it like BSc, MSc track also, forensic science. But forensic medicine is a part and parcel of the MBBS program. So you have a subject called forensic medicine. So basically, it all deals with ethics, legal, and also core forensic issues. And there's a course within the program. You have to clear that course as well. Yes.
Okay. And
you want to specialize in that, you can do that. Yes.
Okay. And technology also remains a major worry. Now there is a question. What is the scope of physiotherapy in the future? Will it be replaced by robots?
Not really. Please visit Gulf Medical University campus, Tumbe Medicity, and look at the Tumbe Rehabilitation Center, Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation Hospital. It's not a center. Generally, it is ahead of times, and it will not. Nothing is going to replace human beings, right? A patient is a human being, and just leave him with robos, and keep yourself just think like a patient. And if I am going to talk only to robots, will I ever get well, right? I want to talk to a human being, right? I want to feel wanted, and I want someone to listen to me and reply back to me like a human being, right? The human interaction is the most basic, and all these robots and things will assist you, right? So therefore, we have a very advanced Tumbe Rehabilitation Center, Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation Hospital again, because physiotherapy basically in any hospital is one unit, one rehabilitation unit, but we have taken it to a different level and constructed a hospital within the campus. So we have roughly around 100 beds of long-term care patients in Tumbe University Hospital, which caters to this rehabilitation hospital, caters to these long-term patients, especially of stroke and paraplegia and hemiplegia and all those cases. So they cater to these. There is always a scope, very good scope for physiotherapists, right? It takes care of the last mile in the illness. After illness, it's just not the doctor just treats, and then he's okay to an extent. But what is most important, he has to go back to his work, and he should work effectively, right? So that last mile, the rehabilitation, the occupational therapy takes care to make him fit to earn a living and to lead a quality life. So physiotherapist's role cannot be underestimated, and they work as a team with the physicians.
Okay, I think that clarifies the question. That is, as long as there is going to be empathy, I think humans are needed. Okay.
Absolutely.
And the next one, is there a restriction to practice in India if I do MBBS here in UAE?
No, actually, you'll have to first take NEET. Suppose you do your MBBS, join as an international medical graduate at Gulf Medical University. Before you join, you'll have to take NEET. This is not a requirement of Gulf Medical University, but this is a requirement of Indian government, right? Unless until you do that, you will not be able to go back and get a degree from here and practice later. After you finish this, you will have to write the international medical, foreign medical graduates examinations, pass that, and then you can go into practice in India.
So hope that is clear now. And again, any scholarship option or for merit or sports at Gulf Medical University?
Yes, for merit we have, except for the MBBS program, other programs we have a good amount of scholarship. When we take the maximum scholarship is for the College for Healthcare Management and Economics, we get 50% scholarship for students joining this. And according to their grades, like you get a lot of scholarships. So for dental program, pharmacy program, and other health sciences programs, biomedical sciences programs, we have scholarships ranging from right from 5 to 20% to 30%, right? So we have everything depending on different programs. We have different scholarships, yes, based on merit, yes.
And I'm interested in toxicology. What are my options in the medical field?
Toxicology, yes, you can do your MBBS, and then you want to do in toxicology, or if you can do in pharmacology, right? And toxicology you can do a master programs in toxicology. Basically, you can do bachelor's and masters, right? Bachelor's in pharmacology or something like that, and then go into masters in toxicology and PhD in toxicology.
And what would be the procedure required for acquiring admission in medical universities abroad? I think that is, this is with regard to Gulf Medical University. And Gulf Medical University also has a tie-up with, other universities. which
Yeah.
Professor has already explained. I think that answers your question. Again, what are the MD courses offered in GMU?
As far as the master programs is concerned, currently we are still developing the residency programs in clinical disciplines, right? So like MD in internal medicine, we don't have it there at present, but we only have as a postgraduate program or a graduate program after graduation, we have internships placements. So they're all postgraduate only, right? Otherwise, we are still under developing surgery, medicine, and all those disciplines. We have master in public health in collaboration with University of Arizona, and then we have masters in laboratory sciences and things like that. So we still don't have a residency programs in clinical disciplines. But I want to take up a question on the previous one, which they asked, how do we get a medical degree from abroad or something like that? I wanted to relate it to GMU programs, because we have one program called Associate Degree in Preclinical Sciences. So we have collaboration with Medical University of Lublin and San Raffaele University, Milano, Italy. And what happens is students enroll here and in these universities, and they do the first 3 years at Gulf Medical University. After they do the 3 years, and then they transfer, because we have signed an agreement with them, they seamlessly transfer to these universities. And after doing about 3 years of clinical postings in those universities, they get an MD degree from the European university. And they're all well-reputed universities. We have had the first batch going to Poland. About 25 students, graduates of this program, have gone to Poland. Now they're doing the clinical rotations there. And after 3 years, once they pass the examinations there, they will be given an MD degree from the Poland, Medical University of Poland. So this is one way of getting a international medical degree. Yeah.
Yes, that's interesting, sir. There is one more question. I think you have answered, but still let the child get clarified. Do you have physiotherapy? Also, is NEET a requirement for physiotherapy admissions?
NEET is for medical entrance.
Yeah.
So basically not for physiotherapy. We have physiotherapy. We have a bachelor of physiotherapy. We have a master in physical therapy. And we have our own physical therapy and rehabilitation hospital. So we have internships. So we have a very good package for physiotherapy, basically. Yes.
Okay.
Our dean is also Dr. Praveen Kumar. Yes. Yeah.
Sir, please continue.
Our dean is Dr. Praveen Kumar. And
Okay.
if there are too many people interested in physiotherapy, I can arrange for a talk by him as well. Yes.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So we'll have it in pipeline, children. And one more question. They want to know the seat reservation or availability every year for CBSE Gulf students.
We are an international university and we attract students from all over. There is nothing like reservation for anyone, right? So all students, irrespective of the nationality and educational curriculum, they can come in and apply for us. But I have to tell you that right 3 months back, we already completed filling our MBBS seats. So it's highly in demand program. And therefore, if anyone is aspiring, now those who are going to 12th, who are in 11th year, who are going to 12th, they want to apply, start applying right from January with your predicted scores and other things, right? So don't wait till June, July, because by April, May, MBBS gets filled, right?
Okay.
So therefore, my sincere advice to all of you is, if you want MBBS program, you have to apply much early. So right in January, February, March, you have to start finishing it. So you'll have to apply, and with your predicted scores and then other things, and then you at least register. And then with that scores, you are given a provisional offer letter. And after that, once your final marks comes, and if it meets the requirements, then you are in, right? Otherwise, it becomes very difficult. Now it's already filled, MBBS. Other seats, of course, we have very few seats in dental, pharmacy, and all those. But MBBS is one thing which you'll have to be really fast. Yeah.
Okay, children, then be alert, apply early. And the final questions, still we have some more questions which I'll personally mail it to you, sir. And we'll post the replies in Facebook as well and try to see that the child gets the answer back. The final question is, will I get placed in your group hospital if I complete MBBS in GMU?
Pardon again, will I get placed?
In your group hospitals if I complete MBBS in GMU?
We pride in telling that we employ our graduates, right? So the best graduates we have employed. It is not a thing. It's why did we create our own health workforce? Okay, so that is the idea. So currently, over a period of time, we had employed more than 50, 60 graduates. Currently, roughly 30 graduates are employed and they're working at either Gulf Medical University or Physical Therapy Hospital or our own hospitals. So yes, there is an opportunity. If you are good, we will employ.
So you get the answer directly here from the Vice Chancellor. If you have graduated well, if you are good enough, you get a placement too in the group hospitals. Thank you, Professor. That was a highly interactive session, I would say. Compared to last year, we had really questions bombarding like anything. That shows the interest level the children have taken up towards medicine. And I think that is what pandemic has also taught us, that we need a proper healthcare setup, and we need more healthcare practitioners. So children here, it was a wonderful opportunity for you also, I suppose. You had direct interaction with the Vice Chancellor who answered your queries. So for more details, look into Gulf Medical University website and understand better. Also, Professor is there to help us. So whatever queries I will review again, and I will be posting it to him, and all those queries will be passed down to you. Okay, you can visit our Facebook for the answers. Thank you, Professor.
Thank you.
For that valuable time. Thank you once again. And now we move on to the next speaker of the day, another eminent personality. And there was always, doubt regarding research scopes in medicine, in pharma sector, etc. Right? So we have another eminent person here, Dr. Ganesh Ramachandran. He is currently working as Associate Director in Biocon Limited, Bangalore. He is heading a team working on peptide purification and process development. He holds a bachelor degree in pharmacy from University of Mumbai, followed by his MTech and PhD Tech from prestigious ICT, Mumbai. He is on board of studies of ICT and also a member of Research and Recognition Committee ICT. He is an approved guide for MTech, MSc, and chemical engineering students. He has many international and national publications and has 4 patents to his credits. His area of expertise on protein and peptide purification, biosimilar characterization, regulatory framework, and novel formulations. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so
I'm
much.
sure you will have again lots of questions. The children are very inquisitive to know a lot about pharmacy research. So welcome to the forum, and the stage is all yours.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ms. Sudha, and thanks for the Science India Forum Dubai chapter for giving me opportunity to at least give my inputs over these 15, 18 years of my career to the students of 10th to 12th grade. I hope that they will have some valuable input post this session. I would like to just present my screen. I have a short presentation wherein I've just briefed about the career opportunities in basic research. I would like to share my screen.
Please, sir.
I'm just curious, can you see the screen?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
it's visible.
So I would like to just talk about pure science and research opportunities for students who would like to take science as a career post their 10th grade. So, I mean, this is mandatory by our organization, like the opinions expressed are my own and not related to any of the organization that I'm associated or was associated with. So coming to the basic question, like post your 10th or 12th, when you take science as a career, what are the different opportunities that you have, the students have They are kind of, I've just listed down few of them. So the major aspect is MBBS or any of the medical degrees, be it dentistry, Ayurveda, or homeopathy, which the earlier speaker, Dr. Manda, has given a very wonderful presentation on how Gulf Medical University has delved into the MBBS and the allied courses. So I won't touch into this part particularly. Apart from that, you have the other basic courses in Bachelor's of Engineering or Bachelor's of Architecture, wherein again, post-science, you need to have your PCM score and you can get into any of these courses. After that, one more area which Dr. Manda had touched upon is the pharmacy, which Gulf University has recently opened a department of pharmacy, and they are providing courses in PharmD as well as BPharm. So BPharm science is one of the aspects that I'll predominantly touch upon during this presentation. Along with, you also have other bachelor's degree in allied fields like food and fermentation technology, paint technology, polymer technology, you have oils technology, green technology, so many of them. So major of these degrees that you get here are offered by my erstwhile college, that's Institute of Chemical Technology, that's based out of Mumbai in a place called Matunga in Bombay. So people can visit the website and see what each of the programs offer, like maybe the BTech and other programs. And also we have the general BSc degree followed by MSc. So I'll just touch upon what are the degrees that will be useful for someone who wants to get into a pharmaceutical area of research. So basically, I mean, we are all aware of pharmaceuticals, but recently, like a couple of years back, we have a new thing that is coming up is biotechnology. So I would just like to touch upon or give a brief idea to the students, like how pharmaceuticals are different from biopharmaceuticals. So if you look at pharmaceuticals, they are purely chemical molecules which are synthesized using chemical reactions, and it has an intended medical effect, or it is to be used as a medication. That is pharmaceutical. So it's purely a chemical reaction. Whereas with the advent of biotechnology, you have something called as biopharmaceuticals, wherein the medicine is kind of produced from living organisms. It can be any of the microorganisms like E. coli or yeast or even mammalian cells. So here you kind of alter the genetic DNA part of the organism, kind of insert it into these cells, wherein you finally harvest the protein. Protein here is the biopharmaceutical, which is intended to be used as a drug. And then you have certain purification steps where you make it kind of viable to be injected into the patient, and that gives you the biologic medicine. So the protein here, the best example that people can kind of relate it is the insulin, which most of the diabetics use it on a very daily basis. So the basic difference in pharmaceuticals and biopharmaceuticals is the route of synthesis by which they are made. So just coming to pharmaceuticals and biopharmaceuticals, you have a difference in the molecular size of the proteins, wherein the chemicals are very small, small particles, or the molecular weight is less than 100 Daltons. It is just few atoms in size, whereas anything bigger than 100 Daltons falls into the category of biopharmaceuticals. Examples I've listed are insulin, as I told you. You have some anti-cancer drugs, which is filgrastim, that is GCSF, human growth hormone, erythropoietin, and obviously monoclonal antibodies, which is having a big chunk in the market. That is kind of the next generation medicine for cancer and other autoimmune diseases. So this table just gives a difference between a pharmaceutical and a biopharmaceutical. As I told you, this is produced by chemical synthesis, whereas biopharmaceutical is kind of made from a living organism. The active ingredients in pharmaceuticals are unique and well defined because it being a very small molecular weight, it's easy to define the drug. Whereas biopharmaceutical, because the molecule is quite big in size, it's a complex mix of bigger proteins. Heterogeneous is it's not one uniform protein, you have other different proteins in it. So for which characterization, when you say characterization, it is how you determine or say that the molecule that I have purified or synthesized is pure. So it's pretty easy in case of pharmaceuticals. It is very complicated in case of biopharmaceuticals. Immunogenicity is something wherein when you inject the molecule into your body kind of treats anything as a foreign body, and it kind of gives you an immune response. The best thing is our COVID vaccine, which most of us are kind of in the process of taking our first dose or taking it, wherein some of us get a fever or pain. That is kind of the immune response that is given by our body, which is quite rare in pharmaceuticals, but it is quite common in biopharmaceuticals because the molecule is bigger in size. COVID vaccine is the best example of biopharmaceutical. The manufacturing process in pharmaceuticals are very highly reproducible. Like you have a set process, anybody wants to replicate it, it's easy to follow. So that's the reason you have generic companies, so many across the world, India being the leader in that. Biopharmaceuticals, the molecule is very sensitive to minor changes. So what generally pharma companies do is you have one drug or a monoclonal antibody, which is an anti-cancer drug, kind of developed by a company in US, Amgen or Genentech. They kind of make a generic molecule of that, which is called a biosimilar in case of biopharmaceuticals. And you have to ensure that the molecule is very much similar or as much close as possible to the innovator molecule. That is a molecule made by the first company in the world. So it is quite sensitive to minor changes, which is not the case with pharmaceuticals. So in coming to say people who join either B Pharma or B Tech or BSc after their 12th, you can kind of get into most of these departments. Like I've just given you an overview of what departments generally are there in a pharma or a biopharma industry, wherein R&D or research and development is the engine of any organization, because R&D is the one that kind of develops new technologies or new drugs, which kind of gives revenue to the company. So R&D is the main core part of any organization. So obviously your B Pharm or postgraduates have a lot of openings in R&D, be it from M Pharm or MSc. R&D definitely you have a lot of scope. Apart from that, you have allied departments wherein one thing is production. So whatever you generated in your R&D, it has to be scaled up. Like you make it in small flasks, whereas in production, you have to go to a kilo scale or make it in tons. So production also, especially people with BSc, MSc degrees get placed in production department. Recently, you have a separate department which is called as MSAT, which is kind of a buffer between your R&D as well as production. It's called Manufacturing, Support and Technology. So here, generally, people with a chemical engineering degree like BChem-Eng or MChem-Eng, that's Masters in Chemical Engineering, kind of get placed well in this part, wherein you need to kind of see whatever R&D scientist has developed in a small scale, in flasks, how do you scale it up into bigger reactors? So MSAT, whatever people in BChem, MChem-Eng can fit into MSAT. Same is with projects. Projects are basically involved in setting up new plants in pharmaceuticals. So generally people, again, with a chemical engineering degree or any other engineering degree, like you have allied functions for water treatment and all that. So mechanical, electrical engineering guys can get placed in projects. Coming back to people who have an MSc or MTech degree in pharmacy or biopharma, biotech, so they can also get placed in quality control and quality assurance. So whenever you make any particular drug, it is the basic responsibility of the company to ensure that the molecule or the drug that comes out of every batch is 100% pure and it does not have any side effects for the patients. So you need to have a quality control department which monitors the drug throughout its life cycle. And also you have a quality assurance team which assures that the quality coming out of the production is always up to mark. So obviously MPharm, MSc guys can fit into these departments as well. Sales and marketing, generally you have people who do a bachelor's in either BSc or BPharm, go ahead and do an MBA in sales marketing, they can fit into this. But recently I have seen a new trend wherein people even with a technical degree like MTech or PhD get into a part called as technical marketing, wherein you need to have the skill set to understand the science behind that and obviously sell and market the products. So they can also fit into the sales and marketing department. One major important area is coming to the product pharma company is your regulatory affairs. So these guys are kind of involved in formulating all the documents or dossiers that needs to be submitted to your US FDA or EMA. These are the different regulatory guidelines of good countries in the world. Like basically US, EMA, and Australia are the most stringent of all regulatory markets. So they kind of help in preparing documents for those. So again, people with bachelor's degree or master's degree in pure science or pharmacy can fit into regulatory departments. Intellectual property, there are courses which generally people do post their graduation, like either you have a BSc and you have either a certificate course in intellectual property, after which you can get into the IP department, wherein you kind of give clearance to the process that is being developed by R&D to say that it is good to operate in countries and you don't have any patent infringement. So obviously, so whatever you're seeing a green tick mark, people with a science degree background can fit into all of these departments. So in short, the scope is huge for people who want to take up a career in pure science. Obviously, research, if it's the person is really interested in research, R&D is the department of choice. If not, these are the other departments wherein you can fit in. So these are the different departments I have just listed down, like cloning, upstream, downstream, in a typical biopharma company. So what are the biosimilar hotspots? Like last 10, 12 years, if you see, most of the countries across the world are approving biosimilars as a mode of treatment for their patients. So if you see, most of the leading countries like Europe has close to around 57 biosimilars, either approved or in course of approval. Same is the case with US, India, Australia, Russia, also in Middle East. So what I would like to kind of tell from this slide is the scope for biopharma or biotech is huge because this is continuously growing. If you look at the CAGR of the biopharma market, it's almost growing at almost around 15 to 18% year-on-year basis. So it's the future is really good for students who want to take up a career in biopharma research. With this slide, I would just like to kind of explain it in the very simple terms to the students because some of the jargon used in the earlier slides would have been very technical. So what I would like to say is you have an innovator drug. So innovator drug is the first company that made the biosimilar, assuming insulin was made by Lilly in the year 1982 through a biopharma route. So that is the innovator. After which, maybe around the year 2000 onwards, other companies like Shanta Biotech, Biocon, Lupin, these guys started making copies of the insulin, which are called biosimilar. So how do you differentiate between innovator and biosimilar? I would like to just give a very short story so that the students find it very easy to understand. So if you remember this mango pickle, which is kind of quite common in the south of India, it's called avakai. So yeah, I remember most of the students, most of us would have tasted this pickle made by our grandmother. I mean, the taste always used to be really good. When your mother tries to make it either in Bombay or since most of you are in Dubai, the taste might not be very similar to what your grandmother made. This can be related to multiple factors because the mangoes that you used to get in India or in a particular part of India is not same as what you're getting it in Bangalore or in Dubai. The proportion that is used by your mother versus your grandmother is different. The raw materials or whatever goes into the making of the pickle, like the oil or chili powder, the quality is not same. So ultimately, if the pickle made by your mother does not match equally or does not taste as well as the pickle made by your grandmother, it does not certify as a good pickle. So ultimately, what these companies try to do is they have to kind of match the quality that was made by the innovator, here in this case, the grandmother, and make the pickle as similar as possible to that made by your grandmother. Here in this case, it's a medicine. So that is what biosimilar means in short, as compared to the innovator, which worldwide more than, I would say around 30, 40 companies worldwide are working on biosimilars because that is the future of the market. So with that, I would just like to conclude it with a short quote, which says that education is our passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs to the people who are prepared for it today. So all the best to all the students, and I'm open to any questions which you would like to have.
Thank you, sir. That's quite a short but highly technical presentation, I would say. And again, there are, as you had highlighted that either a pure science for children who had a confusion, there are a number of questions. He had said that every sector, if you had seen the different job prospects, engineer has if it is an R&D, it has got sales, it has got marketing. It has, so he said any kind of engineer can have an entry. You can take up even technical marketing if you are very good at sales, as well as the technical content, good at technical aspects. So he has given you good amount of ideas on the career prospects in biopharma sector. However, there are some questions.
Sure.
To become a medical research scientist, should I take a BSc in biomedical or BTech in biomedical?
If you say a medical researcher, I mean, there are two aspects. If you're going to do research in pharmaceuticals, basically research involved in drugs and all that, the first choice is going to be B.Pharm in B Pharmacy, followed by specialization. So in Masters of Pharmacy, you have specializations in different fields. It can be medicinal chemistry, it can be pharmacology, it can be pharmaceutics. So if you're basically involved in developing new medicines, generally people go in for MPharm in organic chemistry or medicinal chemistry. If you're involved in newer formulation forms, like you want to develop a different kind of dosage form, people generally go into MPharm for pharmaceutics and all that. If it is kind of biotech research, wherein it can be related even to your biomedical equipment and all that, there is a course wherein you have BE in biotechnology, which is offered by quite a few colleges in India. But that won't be corely into research of drugs and all that, whereas it will be more of your instruments used in diagnosis and bioinstrumentation kind of things. So the student has to kind of decide what is that major area he is interested in, and then make a wise choice.
And won't the drugs made with DNAs of other organisms alter our DNA in the body?
Sorry, can you please repeat?
Won't the drugs made with DNAs of other organisms alter our DNA in the body?
No. To be honest, like biopharma or biotech, I mean, this is called as recombinant DNA technology, this approach what is followed. It undergoes a lot of stringent steps of quality control to ensure that nothing of that remains in the final molecule. And also, it is not that you inject the body and your DNA starts changing, nothing of that sort. You have quality control tests which ensure that there are no residual proteins from the organism that you have synthesized or any host cell DNA that is remaining. So nothing of that sort will happen. I mean, these are all, I think, most of the theories that float around, especially after COVID, nothing of that sort.
Hope that clears the ambiguity. There is one more question. Are there different courses or different degrees to be obtained for each sector of biopharma?
See, for biopharma, basically, if you get into pharmacy and then do a post-graduation followed by a PhD, in PhD, you can select certain areas, like people do research in cloning particularly, people do research in fermentation, like kind of improving the fermentation yields in a particular organization. So when you go for PhD, that kind of approach is possible. Whereas if you go to a post-graduation level, it's going to be more at a very general level, I would say. Like people can get into either of the departments. It can be fermentation or purification or quality control. But if you want to get into, there are niche areas which are biosimilar characterization, wherein people have to get involved in doing a quality control on the molecule, saying that this molecule is exactly similar to what was made by the innovator, where you use high-end instruments like mass spectroscopy and all that. So that involves more of specialized degrees. Whereas if it's at a master's degree, it's basically the field that interests you, you'll have to select.
What stream in 11th should I go for if I want to be a genetic engineer?
Genetic engineer, if you have to be, obviously you should have biology as a part of your coursework in 11th and 12th. After which you have certain IITs. IIT Bombay offers a course in genetic engineering. I think it's a BTech course followed by MTech, wherein along with genetic engineering, wherein how do you clone organisms or how do you do gene extraction and all that is taught, along with other aspects of the degree, because being a technology degree, you need to have expertise in technology that is part of chemical engineering as well as mathematics. So in your 11th and 12th, obviously you'll have to select biology, after which you can kind of do a BPharm or a BSc in biotechnology, where going forward you can specialize in genetic engineering and molecular biology.
Thank you, sir. And vaccines for new diseases are made in pharmaceuticals or biopharmaceuticals?
Mainly in biopharmaceuticals, because if you look at most of the companies, they are biopharmaceuticals. Like wherever you involve live organisms, which is used for production, they are called biopharmaceutical companies. So if you look at most of the vaccine manufacturers, it is either kind of done through recombinant DNA technology or the old age technique, wherein you kind of develop antibodies in horses and then purify. So generally it's in biopharmaceutical companies that you develop a vaccine. Just one more thing I would like to add to the earlier question is Tata Institute of Fundamental Research in Bombay offers a very good course in genetic engineering, especially in that post-graduation as well as PhD. So that is one option which people can think about post their MSc.
Can you please explain about molecular medicine?
If you ask me, this whatever we are doing by our DNA technology is in way kind of a molecular medicine. Though there are new technologies coming up which are still not approved. One is your regenerative medicine, which I am sure Dr. Venkatramana can throw more light, wherein you kind of take cells from the patient himself, purify it, and again re-inject, so that they say that can kind of treat most of the diseases. But to be honest, they are still not approved by the regulatory authorities in India. Though I understand there are some research going on in US, wherein they use regenerative medicine, especially for animals and all. But maybe in the future, that's something that can come up. But apart from that, no.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I think there were many questions, but again, quite repetitive. I think like you could answer everything in a nutshell. Children, hope it was an enlightening session to you all. You understood. You had wide range of questions from the first session, right? From Wednesday regarding pharmaceuticals. I think your questions are now answered. Thank you, Dr. Ganesh, for your valuable time. It was a
My
wonderful
pleasure.
session. Even I think our SIF voluntary members learned a lot about this new field. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Now, we move on to the next part. Our third eminent speaker is here. And there were lots of questions about bioinformatics. So please wait. He's there to explain to us. Dr. Parameshwaran Ramachandran, a data scientist related to the field of oncological bioinformatics from Princess Margaret Cancer Research Center, University of Toronto, Canada, Toronto Healthcare Network, Canada. He pursued his PhD in electrical engineering with a focus on signal processing, machine learning, and bioinformatics, currently focusing on cancer research using big data, ML, and AI. 2 decades of R&D experience in academic and healthcare settings, including a postdoctoral fellowship at Sprott Center of Stem Cell Research. And he has mentored many batches of junior engineers and bioinformatics. And he is also a recipient of multiple research and graduate program scholarships, travel awards, prizes, and honors at international forums and conference platforms. He has served as a community outreach speaker for 2 years, representing the University of Victoria, Canada, as well as institutions such as Cornell University, California Institute of Technology, and the University of Alberta. And he has done extensive research in scientific writing and statistical data visualization tools. He has taught an array of undergraduate and graduate level engineering courses. He has got a wide range of experience presenting scientific results to both technical and non-technical international audiences. And he has contributed to several successfully funded large research grant applications to funding bodies such as CIHR and AstraZeneca Research. He is an active participant in large-scale collaborative projects with universities, which I've mentioned previously. Welcome, Dr. Parameshwaran. It's a real honor to have you here in our forum.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me okay.
Yeah, it's perfect.
It's fine. Okay. Thank you very much. It's my great pleasure to be here. Thank you, Ms. Sudha and the Science India Forum organization for inviting me to participate and be amongst all of you, very young and aspiring minds. It's so nice to see everybody asking extremely valid and great questions and being so interested in pursuing their careers. So I'm going to, it was a very nice enlightening talks by the last two presenters, and now I'm going to probably delve into a little bit of technical aspects, trying to make you understand some basics of the biology to tell you what cancer, the disease itself, is all about in simple terms, and also to give you an idea of what cancer research is. So if you want to pursue your career on that, as you all know, cancer is a very bad disease. It affects so many people these days, and the whole world is in a quest to find good treatments and cures for cancer. So I hope I can give you a quick insight on all of this. There was this question also which Dr. Ganesh had from one of you, where if we take medications manufactured by DNA of other organisms, is that going to change our DNA? I hope you get an answer at the end of my presentation as well, although Dr. Ganesh answered it really well. So just want to quickly point out this the picture which you see here. Just enable my mouse pointer. So this picture here is a good snapshot of what is capable, what we are capable of doing as per today's advanced medical terms, where we can simply take samples from a patient and then do all this kind of analysis immediately, and then give customized treatment therapy options for a patient. And all this is capable because of a lot of technological advancements that has been happening in the past decades. So to quickly summarize my journey so far, I did my schooling in India, Chennai, and then after that I moved on to pursue my bachelor's in engineering, where I was introduced to the field of electronics. And there as many of you would have wondered at various points as you were learning a lot of theoretical concepts, when am I going to apply all this in real life applications? And I was also one of those students who was wondering a lot about how many of these theoretical equations, how are they going to be applicable later on? And it would be really nice and cool to see what are the applications of all these. And I got a very good opportunity to do that, to see in action, see all these theoretical concepts in action when I went on to pursue my master's and PhD degrees in the field of digital signal processing. I got really interested in that particular field because it just sounded, it looked very cool. We have digital signals and we are able to create so many images and sound processing algorithms and things like that. So I got a good sample of all the applications of the field of digital signal processing and electronics when I was doing my master's and PhD. But at the same time, I also realized something very exciting, that our genome, the DNA, which exists inside our bodies, that is also actually a digital signal. And so we can actually use a lot of the cool mathematical digital signal processing algorithms to analyze our genomes, to find cures for diseases, and to advance the medical field in general. And that really put me into this thought of, I want to learn more about this field and probably specialize in that area, because I loved programming. So how can I find an area of research where all that I loved, I can apply? So electronics, mathematics, programming, all these things come together in the field of bioinformatics and genomics. And for the past 2 decades or so approximately, this field has been blooming a lot. And there has been lots of capabilities for our computers to process really extremely large amounts of data at very fast processing speeds. And that has made it possible. This entire field of artificial intelligence has blossomed from that. And so I got an opportunity, the Postdoctoral Fellowship at the Ottawa Hospital Research Institute. And that's when I could very deeply delve into what bioinformatics is all about. And then the field of data science also started picking up. And so all these fields blend together these days, where you can apply medicine, you can do research in medicine at the same time. If you're passionate about programming and mathematics, you can still keep doing those things. And so now I am at the University of Toronto affiliated Princess Margaret Cancer Center, and I'm a data scientist in oncological research. And that is a field where you can apply a lot of these techniques to do really cool things. So before I give you some more idea of what cancer data science is all about, let's do a little bit of basic biology, which many of you would probably know. All of us are made of cells, and cells are the basic fundamental unit of all life. And we have different kinds of cells. We have so many different types of cells in our bodies: brain cell, heart cell, red blood cells, nerve cell, and fat cells, and so on. There are so many more types, immune cells, for example. Have you wondered how many cells in total, approximately, we would all have? Maybe a lakh, maybe a million, maybe 10 million. It's actually 75 to 100 trillion cells. So trillion is 1 followed by 12 zeros. So imagine that many number of cells is what we are all carrying with us, and all those cells are making us what we are today, and it is helping us function. So that's the beauty of life, and that's the beauty of the living organisms. And what makes us living? So whenever the basic definition of life is that you should be able to, the cell should be able to replicate independently by itself by using nutrition, which it receives through the rest of the body. And it is able to make copies of itself and grow to the extent as necessary, as dictated by the body. And inside every cell, we have this thing called the genetic code, which is built using DNA. So it's exactly a code, just like a computer code, computer program, which many of you would be familiar with. But it is found inside the nucleus of every cell of our body. And all organisms, all living things have this genetic code. This is called the DNA, right? And how does DNA look? When you look at the microscope and when you examine the DNA, what you see here, this rotating structure is the 3-dimensional structure of the DNA. And on the right is how it looks when you try to represent it as a linear sequence. It is made of 4 subunits, which we represent using these 4 letters, A, T, G, and C. Each one stands for a chemical molecule: adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. But the entire code is just made of these 4 building blocks. And this is the other representation. So this is called the double helix, where we have 2 strands. So DNA exists as a pair of strands. The information is redundant. So one strand has the same information as the other strand. So that's probably nature's way of making a copy, because the DNA code is so precious that you cannot afford to lose it or get it corrupted. And then we have 3 billion of these subunits within each cell of our body. So that's the amount of DNA we have in our body. And what happens is DNA has organized into genes. Genes are these sections, the important sections in the DNA, which have specific functions. And this is how they look when you try to put it together as a schematic. So each region is a gene as marked here. And these special regions are responsible for your traits. So that's what makes a dog, right? So dogs, when they reproduce, they give birth to dogs again. And if those dogs produce, they give birth to dogs again, and so on. Same holds for cats. So that's what makes the DNA is unique to the dog, that every time a dog reproduces, you get a dog. So these are the traits. And that's also responsible, genes are also responsible for the characteristics, some of the characteristics which you get. So you can thank your parents' DNA genes for the pretty dimples you have and the eye color which you have from your dad. And genes also give rise to proteins. That's the main function of all these genes. We have so many different types of proteins in our body, which has, each protein has its own function. And proteins actually look like this. So proteins are also sequences of amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of proteins. So at the beginning, we had DNA. DNA is organized into genes, and genes give rise to proteins. And these are protein molecules, some examples of the protein molecules. And proteins are polymers of amino acids. And when proteins assemble as a three-dimensional structure, this is how they exist in reality. They don't just exist as a long sequence, but instead they form these complex structures. And so it is these proteins that actually help your cell to live and function and carry out our everyday activities. So every moment of our living time, we have all these proteins to thank for, which collaborate and make us all living. So lots of proteins, they collaborate, and there's this dynamic process that keeps going on. Even during this presentation, as I'm talking, there's lots of things going on within my body. And as you are listening, there are lots of things going on in your body, and so on. So that's how we function. Now, going one level up. So if you get what I have told you so far, so we have the DNA code, the exact same DNA code present in every cell of our body. Now, have you wondered, but we do have so many different types of cells, right? So we have nerve cells, we have muscle cells, and we have bones, and we have intestine cells, we have liver, we have the stomach cells, we have the blood cells, which is very important, and so on. So how are all those cells different? If the same code is producing all these, then what's the key which makes all these things different? So the trick which nature has come up with is that it can actually turn on and off the genes depending on need at various points in time. So that's so beautiful, right? Because now we have the exact same code, which is our genetic code. And that code can give rise to so many different types of cells. But there is this process where only certain genes are on at a time and others are off. And so by dynamically turning some genes on and some genes off, the same genetic code can be made to create so many different kinds of proteins in our body, right? So this fantastic mechanism is what makes us develop all these from a baby. It helps us grow by taking nutrition, and then it helps us develop into this really intelligent personalities with all these different kinds of cells. And we have trillions and trillions of cells like this. So that's a basic overview of what DNA genes are all about. And that is very important to understand if you want to know more about cancer, right? So some cool facts, right? Let's try to say. So 99.9% of us, all our DNA, all of us have the exact same DNA, 99.9% of the portion. So there is only 0.1% of our DNA which defines our uniqueness. That's cool when you think of it, right? We all look so different, but just imagine it's only 0.1% of us. That's the difference of it. Just 1 gram of DNA can actually store terabytes of data, right? That's just amazing when you think of it. So that's how compressed the information is, which creates our life. And then just one more thing. Of course, there are lots of cool facts, but for lack of time, I'm just going to give you 3. So that if you unravel, so we have trillions of cells in our body, right? So if you unravel the DNA of all those cells, so each cell has 3 billion approximately of those units. If you put them all together, just imagine, you can stretch up to 110 billion miles. So that's about 600 round trips from the Earth to the sun. So each of us carry that much DNA. As you walk and talk and sleep and watch TV, this is what you carry, and that's what makes you living. So now let's move on to cancer. So what is cancer now? Because now we have a decent knowledge of what DNA is. So cancer is a disease in which some of the body cells, so for us to function in a very healthy manner, most of the time our cells behave. They behave in a certain way, which is necessary for the healthy functioning of the body. But sometimes cells misbehave, right? Because the DNA is corrupted, or something else is wrong with the cells. So cancer is a disease, a very bad disease, which affects a lot of people these days, where the body cells suddenly start, some of the body cells start growing uncontrollably and spread to other parts of the body. So we have a normal cell where the cell has a life cycle, and every cell does its function and it gets old. And then there is this process called apoptosis, where the cell is marked to die and the body gets rid of those cells. So every day, every moment of your life, you keep losing cells and you keep making more cells. And this is a process that's all part of healthy living. But cancer comes at a stage when some of these cells suddenly start misbehaving. And that is happening mainly because of changes or corruption in the DNA, which are called mutations, right? So how do we get mutations? Thankfully, actually, fortunately, just only about 10% or even less percentage of all cancers in the world are hereditary. So you're not born with those mutations, right? So that is great, because if you're born with mutations, and which causes 90% of the cancers, then you can't do anything about it. You don't have control over it. But the fortunate thing is that 90% of all cancers are caused by habits, lifestyle choices, and environmental factors. And that is why environment is a very important thing, right? We should be extremely careful not to spoil the environment for ourselves and for other organisms, other life forms in Earth. And also, we should be very careful about our lifestyle choices. But the good news is that we can actually change all these things. So the 90% of cancers are caused by things that are external. So they are not within our body, right? Which is great news, because then we can control these things. So for example, right? So hereditary, you can leave that because that's only 10%. So it's very, very unlikely. But of course, unfortunately, some kids are born that way and they do get cancers, but that's a very small percentage. UV radiation, right? You might have heard many health experts these days saying that you should not have too much sun. You should not expose yourself too much to the sun. Why? That is because there is ultraviolet radiation in sunlight, which can actually cause skin cancer. And then you should try and avoid chemical use, right? You should not use strong chemicals, because some chemicals do cause mutations in the DNA, which will give rise to cancer. And then, of course, everybody knows this. This is probably, everybody knows this, that you should not smoke. Cigarette smoking is extremely injurious to health, right? Why? Because tobacco, when you smoke, directly causes mutations in our DNA, which is what is responsible for lung cancer. And mind you here, it's not just lung cancer. So tobacco is also associated with so many other different types of cancers. And so that is why you should never smoke in your life. So if you can avoid that, then you have completely right away eliminated a big risk of cancer if you don't smoke. And this is very important. You're all young and you're going to grow up and make your own choices in life. But this is probably something which you should seriously understand, right? And then, of course, this pertains to the situation where cells, as they divide, they do make mistakes sometimes. And so mutations can just spontaneously occur and cancers can develop. So those are the main reasons why we get cancer. And this last portion here just shows us what metastasis is about. So this is basically referring to stage 4 cancer. Whenever you hear the word somebody has stage 4 cancer, what that means is that the cancer that has developed in one part of the body has actually traveled through our bloodstream and it has started growing at other parts of the body. And so that is what is spreading. So the process is called metastasis, right? So this is about cancer. And so how do we treat cancer now? Just to give you a quick idea of what this is all about, you might have heard surgery. So if we have tumor at one part of our body, and if it is detected very early, if it's diagnosed on time, then oftentimes we can just cut it off, right, without too much damage to any other parts of our body. So if we cut it off, then that's great. So that's surgery if it's localized. So that's probably the first, one of the first ways to treat cancer. And then, of course, there is radiation therapy, which involves focusing powerful X-rays and other types of radiation on that cancer part. So that will destroy the cancer cells. And then we have chemotherapy. So whenever you hear the word chemotherapy, it just means using chemicals. So this comes at a stage where it's not very localized anymore. The cancer is not too localized anymore. It has started spreading, and so it is hard to reach different parts because it's not in one area anymore. And so then you have to give chemical treatment, which is injected into the body. And slowly it travels everywhere in your body, catches all those cancer cells and kills them. But the problem with chemotherapy and all these traditional ways of treating cancer is that they also destroy a lot of our normal cells. And that becomes a problem because obviously the goal here is to precisely target the cancer as much as possible and avoid damage to the normal cells. The more we can achieve that, the better is your treatment regimen, right? So that is what is all the future research treatment is all about, because that's the goal. The whole goal is to how precisely we can target cancer and go ahead with the treatment options without touching the normal cancer. So that whole field is called precision oncology. And so this set of treatments here is all new and evolving research-based methodologies. So cancer research is focused on a lot of these areas here. And so just one last slide probably to connect cancer and data science. What do we do? As a data scientist, what do I do on a daily basis? So in our labs, generally, obviously the samples are all coming from patients or animals. Sometimes we can't directly test things on real people, right? So many times we do animals to do the initial testing and our experimentation. And then a lab technician actually processes all these samples and then makes these kind of huge files, gigabytes and gigabytes of data. Because as you know, now DNA has 3 billion base pairs, right? So 3 billion, so imagine sequencing that entire genome and storing that as a computer file. So the files are obviously going to be big and they are going to be sequences like this. Exactly as you see, we get sequences like this. But these are extremely long. So that's why we need the field of data science, because we need to understand what these sequences mean. Because for us, it's just garbled sequence of characters, but they actually mean something inside our body. So we need to figure it out. And that's what the whole field of data science and cancer research comes in. So bioinformatician and a data scientist, makes algorithms, new algorithms, and also uses existing algorithms and methodologies to process all these sequences, and then go to the expression level of these genes, and then does statistical analysis, makes all these kind of pool plots, and compares a cancer genome gene expression between a cancer patient and a normal patient to find out what the differences are. So this is where the fields all come in together, because if you like programming, you can surely do programming. Of course, that's important here, that's necessary here. But me, being a non-biologist, coming from an electrical engineering background, could learn biology completely through these experiences and apply all this to the cool techniques. So that's a little sample of what we do on a daily basis. And the future of cancer research, most of it we have already talked about before. The whole goal here is to connect all the recent technology advances which we have in our hands these days. We have apps, we have extremely good internet connectivity, and we have lots of cool methods of integrating all the electronic health records using more than one way of analyzing everything, putting all the data together, and making customized, precise cancer treatment methodologies for a given patient. So instead of just giving an umbrella treatment, we try to tailor-make the treatment regimen for cancer patients, and that should be the goal of cancer research. So if many of you or some of you take this as a path of cancer research, then this is what you're looking forward. You should be looking forward to in terms of where the field is going. And in terms of skills, of course, you would have heard this many times before in many of the talks. You need to be very passionate, and you should have a lot of patience that comes in research. And you should also realize to give credit, due credit to, if you are quoting somebody else's work, using somebody else's work wherever, you should always give due credit. And as you would have noticed in all my presentations, I would have had every picture I use, I try my best to also give the source, and that's very important in research. And of course, the curious mind is really, really important here. You just have to be curious in order to do research, good, successful research. And all these things are very good characteristics. In terms of coding, any programming language, specifically R and Python, would be useful for you, and machine learning techniques. Googling skills. Why am I saying that? Everybody knows how to Google, but what's so special about this? Well, what's special is you have to really learn what are the key terms to put in the Google search button, because the results are completely dependent on that. So you should choose your search terms wisely, and there are organized ways of learning that. Obviously, online you have lots of tutorials, but that's important. And of course, there are some tricks, and you can use some special characters to achieve a certain thing and things like that. But even plain English, but what you put in totally matters in the results. So if you want some specific results, you should try to have some intelligent ways of doing the search. And these are some resources. This book I really found useful. So if you get your hands on it, this explains biology in a very nice, illustrative, non-boring way, I would say. And then, of course, you have lots of resources for art and data science. And so what do I get out of this? So obviously, the rewards is not just monetary. You get a lot of satisfaction because you're if you do cancer research, or if you do any research for that matter, you are basically participating in the advancement of humanity. And so that is the reward, right? Most importantly. So you have the satisfaction that you're part of something really big. And then, of course, you have full freedom to pursue your passion. You have great opportunities to collaborate with really good groups. And finally, I would like to we have talked a lot about this cancer prevention tips before. These are some of the things which you should remember. Eat a healthy diet, stop smoking, exercise, maintain a healthy weight. And if you can avoid it, don't drink alcohol. That's also being implicated in cancer, causing cancer. And then, of course, these are some of my favorite quotations. which also tells you that, let me read this. One machine can do the work of 50 ordinary men. No machine can do the work of one extraordinary man. So this sort of alludes also to something which Dr. Venkatramana said before, that whatever AI, whatever machines have aided us, or they aid us every day in improving our lives, but you can never replace the touch of a human being, and humans are always necessary to advance everything, and so that human touch is never going to vanish. So this really nicely summarizes that. And be ready to make mistakes. You should surely learn from your mistakes, also from other people's mistakes, because you don't want to keep repeating the mistakes. You don't want to reinvent the wheel, because if something is already invented, try to make the best use of it. Don't be egoistic, because Einstein said this: ego is inversely proportional to knowledge. So the more egoistic you are, the less knowledge you will acquire. But the more knowledge you have, the less and less egoistic you will become. And that is what we should strive to become. As our own scientist, eminent scientist, who is no more now, but Dr. Abdul Kalam said, everyone is trying to find the right person, but nobody is trying to be the right person. So we should try our best to be the right person, right? And whatever we learn, we should try our best to understand. So I leave you with these. I won't tell you what these are, but just some, never leave math. Math is fun. Math is always, whether you're a biologist or whether you're a computer scientist, math is always fun. So these are some of the, I want to leave you with these things to think about. So that I would conclude my talk. Thank you. I think I have overshot my time, but I apologize for that.
Thank you, Dr. Parameshwaran. I feel it's such a comprehensive speech. You could rather convince us to take a course in bioinformatics and contribute to research. It was so comprehensive, and not only that, you have also instilled the moral values that we need to follow in life. That's so wonderful, and we have a huge range of questions also.
Of course, I would be happy.
So for short of time, I will just randomly pick 2 or 3 questions.
Sure.
Can we modify and create cells which help kill cancer?
Yes, well, that is again part of research, as I told you. We have this special field these days, which is called immunotherapy, where we are actually using our own immune system, which is a very great tool. If we can manipulate our own immune system to try and attack our cancer cells, then that's best, right? Because we always have, all of us have our own immune system. So that's, immunotherapy is actually being, in fact, used, starting to get used these days. And so that is probably, one of the close things which we can say to your question. So it is possible. So instead of creating new cells, it's always best to try and use what we already have. And so we have not exhausted all the options yet. And our own immune system is actually very good if it is tuned. So that's one of the things which is a very good research-oriented methodology for treatment these days.
Okay. And if I have taken a 12th science-related course, how can I become a data scientist? That is, like, what kind of course should I take further to become a data scientist?
Science-related course, okay. Well, for data science, you need to have just a passion for math and programming. So what I say these days is that even if you don't have the right background, because there is no one such thing as the right background, and some people have it, some people don't, but after that your interests change. So you can learn programming anytime. Doesn't matter if you have not learned it as part of your undergraduate or graduate education. There are many data scientists who are very successful, but who have a completely different background. For example, philosophy, or even business for that matter. And we see such examples. So rather than a specific course, what I would say in answer to that is that you should have the interest and the passion and the patience to learn whatever new is required for you. So be it programming or mathematics. In terms of specifics, yes, any programming language is good as long as you have the basic concepts. That's great, and you can easily adapt as far as the specific language is concerned. And the general concepts of mathematics, which you have learned, which most of you would have learned as part of your 10th, 11th, 12th, calculus and basic understanding of probability, statistics, those kind of things, right? So if you have a background in that, and if you really, really want to get into data science, then you can easily.
Okay. And an interesting question: can a human-animal hybrid be created using genomics?
Of course it can. There is no end to possibilities, right? But right now, maybe not completely, but I have heard of situations where, a new organism, people around the world secretly are trying to create. And there have been examples where they have created organelles. So they have created specific organs right from a cell. They have grown into a functioning organ just outside the body they have created. So if that is possible, then you can advance the science and the knowledge to put together an entire organism. But in that situation, then the whole question of ethics comes in, right? So is it really, if you have watched the movie Jurassic Park, that's something which has been the storyline of that movie, right? Like where they tried to manipulate the genomic sequence and create an entirely new organism. So it is possible, maybe in the future, it will become easier to make it, but then you have to also think, what are the effects if we start creating full or animals ourselves? But very interesting question.
Thank you for this interesting session. And thank you for your valuable time and the pain you have taken to have a real past.
Thank you so much. I really
I'm
enjoyed.
sorry. And am I audible? I felt I lost my connection.
No, you are.
Thank you, Dr. Parameshwaran. And yes, now after all this, we are going back to the interesting portion that what children are looking for is a contest. Beji, are you there?
Yes.
Shall we have the winners announced?
Yes.
The winner of the previous contest.
Good evening, all. So the last session's question was, name a carrier. Hello, can everyone see my screen?
Yeah, please.
Okay. So you could see the last session's question, and the right answer was transcriptionist. So we have almost 230 participants, and as we said earlier, the fastest one who answer the question will be the winner. So the winner is, so we got two people who answer the question rightly. The fastest one is basically Ayman. So if Ayman is there in the group, kindly raise your hand. And Ayman is from Ajman. He's in grade 10 in International Indian School. Congratulations, Ayman. And Sudhaji, do you want to announce the prize?
Please go ahead.
So Ayman would be getting an Amazon voucher. We will be contacting you shortly with the voucher details. So as the next thing, we will go for the today's question. So children, please ready with your menti.com login. I'm going to share the code and we'll go for the session. Please go to menti.com and use the code 76500863. Please, while entering the name, please enter your name as well as your phone number so that we can easily identify the winner.
Name, space, phone number. Kindly log in the same fashion.
I will wait till the numbers reach 200. So kindly log in as soon as possible so that we can close the session. So you can log into menti.com and use the code 76500863 and give your name, space, your phone number so that we can identify you easily. I will give you another 30 seconds to join in the interest of time. Kindly log in as soon as possible, please. Okay, children, so I'm going to shoot the questions now. Look at your screens. You have 60 seconds to answer the question, and the faster the answer, you get the prize. So take your time and answer the question as soon as possible. Here you go. The question is, a new age carrier that involves a bad guy turned to a good guy to protect with a mischievous twist. I'm repeating again, a new age carrier that involves a bad guy turned to a good guy to protect with a mischievous twist. It is one of the most sought after profession required by every company nowadays. So think from it. I can give you a clue. The person symbol can be, think from having a symbolic white hat. So just think on it. 10 more seconds to go. We have almost 80, 85 answer. It's going 90 now. 5 more seconds. Time's up. So let's see the correct answer. The correct answer is white hat hacker. We will also call it as ethical hacker, and ethical hacking is also preferred. So we have this answers here. So as per our guidelines, we will be announcing the winner in our next session. So stay tuned. All the best, children. Keep participating here and win a lot of prizes. Thank you all. Sudhaji, over to you.
Can I please
Sudhaji,
show the next session slide?
Yes.
Can you display it?
Yes, I'm going to.
this is the end of our current session, and the next session we are having is on 14th July. And again, we have the university representation from BITS Pilani. You all had lots of questions about engineering. So you have Mrs. Tahid Afsan, the admission head, who will be answering your queries. And we have a scientist entrepreneur, Dr. Hariharan Subramaniam, who is entrepreneur of 3 different startups. And it's going to be interesting presentation, who is going to share his life journey as well as some technical inputs. And we also have an eminent personality who is going to explain you about ocean engineering, Dr. S. Neelamani. He's a senior research scientist of Coastal Management Program from Kuwait Institute of Scientific Research. So we have the credentials displayed here, the login and the password. As we'll be sharing the same flyer through chat as well. Please participate, get benefited. That's what I can say. I thank the speakers of today's session once again for your valuable insight, Professor Manda, Dr. Ganesh, and Dr. Parameshwaran. Thank you.